It's time for you to go. Okay, this is our hemisphere. Brazil, one of the most important economic countries in the world, is now run by a communist revolutionary named Dilma Rousseff. She's like a bank robber, you know, one of those types from the old days, one of those real revolutionary. She's in charge of this country now. And by the way, that's the only country that refused to attend the G20 summit recently. She said no. Yeah, I mean, I would too. Here we find, I wanted to talk to you for a minute about Mexico, but this part of the Caribbean with Cuba, Nicaragua is one of the most important countries in the Western Hemisphere because they make the best cigars that exist outside of Cuba. But, you know, you can't buy, thanks to the embargo, it's illegal for an American to buy a Cuban cigar anywhere in the world. It's not illegal for other people to do it, but it is for Americans. And I've been trying to get permission to go to Cuba. Maybe some of you people that are connected could get that for me. But I called my Congress woman, Marsha Blackburn, represents my district, and I called her office, and of course, she's being high and lifted up like Congress people are. She wouldn't actually speak to me. But she had one of her assistants talk to me. And he explained what you have to do to go to Cuba, because Joan and I were in Miami the other day, and we noticed at the Miami airport they have a gate for Havana. They have a flight from Havana. And so I checked into it, and like half the people sitting there are like CIA people, waiting to interrogate people coming back from Cuba, because you can't spend money there. The Congresswoman's office told me, you can go, but you can't spend money. And if you spend money, you'll be arrested. And if you stay more than one day, if you stay overnight, you're presumed to have spent money. So you have to get permission. Maybe the Constitution Party would send me on a mission to Cuba to interview the Castro brothers, because I would like to talk to Fidel before he dies. He's been making noise and basically begging us to lift the embargo, to let them become a developed country. Right now, he's begging for debt. He wants to be indebted. The country is starving. Perhaps it's time we accommodated him. Maybe it's time that this 50-year war ended. Now, Joan, is there another Mexico slide, or is that it? Oh, yeah, this is Mexico. And I'm going to close by telling you that this is one of the most dangerous spots on earth for the United States right now. I would put this almost on a level with Afghanistan for us, but for a different reason. Let me ask you this. Because 90% of the world's heroin is produced in Afghanistan. We know that. How many times have you seen pictures of a Marine patrol walking through these poppy fields in Afghanistan? I have many times. 90% of the world's heroin is produced there. Does that make Afghanistan a narco-terrorist state? Or is this heroin produced to fund the Taliban armies? They sell it to Europe and to us, and our addicts inject it into their bodies. But does that make them, do they exist for the purpose of producing heroin, or do they produce heroin to fund their revolution? Mexico, is it a narco-terrorist state because it's constantly at war with these drug cartels? You know, since 2007, 30,000 people have been killed in Mexico. I had a nice discussion with one of the young ladies here at the hotel the other day. We had lunch with her, and she's from Mexico, and I was asking her all these questions about, you know, is Mexico a narco-terrorist state, or is it simply in revolution? And my theory that I present to you today is that it's in revolution. And that speaks ill for us because, by the way, I apologize for constantly using the term us when I refer to the U.S. government, because the U.S. government really isn't us. Right. It's Washington, but I slip up and say us because it's so easy. I mean, I should say Washington is always on the wrong side of the revolution, like they are here. But especially these provinces in the South are in a state of virtual warfare constantly. And it's, you know, drugs is a system of gaining money and supplying it, but it's not the purpose for it, not in my opinion. This is the American-Mexican border, and for many, many years, thousands of people have been walking across that border every day, and who knows how many of them. We go back to our cities here, and where I live in Memphis, and over here where Virgil lives in Virginia somewhere, and these cities are full of people who've come across the border. Who knows how many of them are not ordinary people looking to better their lives through work and being able to make a little money and live a decent life. How many of them are people who are basically criminals and revolutionaries and nuclear terrorists? Who knows, you know? But if this whole country explodes in revolution and millions of people, not thousands, start streaming across the border, it's not going to be a pretty picture. What should we do? What should a president do? Well, you know, we've got over 100,000 desert troops in Afghanistan that could be very necessary someday to control that situation. Who knows? But the war in Afghanistan is necessary, we've been told. So it continues. But the other and last oil choke point is right here in Panama. And as Howard will tell you, because he's been interested in Panama since, well, before I was born probably, forever. But we don't seem as interested in that choke point as we do some of those over in the Middle East, because we've let the Chinese control both sides of it. But we do have nuclear carrier forces on both sides. You know, I don't know why we chose to do that, but we did. This brings me to the end of my story. I wish it could go on longer. I could stay up here all day and we could talk about different things, but I know that you want to eat. So I'll close by, again, thanking you for your time, your attention, and maybe someday we can do this again.